Though it is the sixth smallest state by landmass and has a population of just 1.3 million, New Hampshire plays a key role in the country's presidential primary system. It is the second contest where voters cast their ballots for their choice of presidential nominees and has become a major moment in every presidential election cycle. However, the state's voting system is unique. Undeclared voters are allowed to vote in one of the party primaries and weigh in on who they'd like to see on the final ticket. Here are 5 facts about New Hampshire's primary and the power of the undeclared voter. An undeclared voter in New Hampshire is one who does not affiliate with a political party but temporarily declares one on election day, allowing them to vote in one party primary. Today, as many as 44% of the state's voters are undeclared. This is a larger percentage than either Democratic or Republican voters. This is also the largest percentage of undeclared voters the state has ever had. Undeclared voters in New Hampshire differ from independent voters across the country. Independent voters in other states are not permitted to vote in primary elections. In recent years, the number of independent voters in the U.S. has continued to grow. In 2017, 42% of Americans identified as independents. This is up from 39% in 2016, the year of the last presidential election. From World War II through the Reagan era, New Hampshire was considered to be solidly Republican. It was only in the 1990s when the small northern state became a toss-up for either party. In 1972, 196 towns across the state voted for 60% or more for the Republican presidential candidate. In 2012, that number dropped to only 12 towns. In the 2016 primary, 60% of those who voted in New Hampshire's Republican primary were Republicans, and 35% were undeclared voters. In the state's Democratic primary, 54% were registered Democrats, and 41% were undeclared voters. In the 2016 primary, which took place on February 9th, was the first official primary of the presidential election. Bernie Sanders won the Democratic primary, and Donald Trump won the Republican primary. A September 2019 poll conducted by No Labels highlights that possibly more than half of all voters in New Hampshire's Democratic primary could be undeclared, by showing that the pool of likely participants in the Democratic primary includes slightly more independents than self-identified Democrats. No Labels has demonstrated the power of the state's undeclared voters. The poll also demonstrated that 78% of independents could change their mind on the candidate for whom they'll vote before the primary.